Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Our greetings from Avvartes in these not very easy times. I would like to thank you for your interest to watch this recording. And with this recording, we start our new series of webinars in a different format from what we were offering you before. These are webinars that we call Conversations with Resilient Leaders. We will be inviting leaders to take part in dialogues with one of our partners and share their experiences of dealing with difficult situations in their businesses, professional and personal lives. Leaders who, in spite of tough periods in their lives, manage to not only overcome these periods, but become even more successful and happy in their lives. These people for whom resilience is not just a word, but a principle of life. And they fully understand what Winston Churchill meant saying, success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. And today I want to introduce our partner in Singapore, Wendy Chua-Sullivan, who is a role model from my point of view in resilience, author of the book, The One Way to Resilience, and the author and one of the leaders in our Resilience for Growth program. She will share her insights into the essence of resilience and how it helped her in her life. And also Evie Severina, our partner in Pittsburgh in USA. She is going to be host the conversation. Evie is a recognized executive coach and consultant who strongly believes in power of leaders to change the world for the better. So please meet Wendy and Evie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elena, and welcome everyone. I want to introduce you to Wendy a little bit more. Wendy is very well educated. She has her training in psychology. She has honors in that, and she also has an executive master's in consulting and coaching for change from INSEAD. And she's worked for Raffles Institution in Singapore, also globally for McKinsey, and she's a board member to the National Library Board. And Wendy is a partner in Avvartes, and she is our key faculty lead behind Resilience for Growth, our women's leadership program. And Wendy has worked all around the world. She's not only well educated, but as you will see, she's very down to earth and extremely warm and creative. So Wendy, welcome. We're so glad you're here today.
Oh, and my pleasure.
I wanted to ask you, I really appreciate your book, The One Way to Resilience, that Elena mentioned. And after reading your book, I really appreciate your willingness to share some of the darkest parts of your life for the purpose of really helping other people. And can you share a little piece of that story with us and your own definition of resilience?
Thank you. Well, one part of what makes a person resilient is being able to look at problems and setbacks and not just bounce back, but leap forward to possibilities, to a new dawn. And so one time in my life when I was facing divorce in a very conservative society, I had just lost my job. And I was spiraling down as a 29-year-old single mom of three. And if I look at the problems, I could see how it could really impact my and my energy. It was making me depressed. And then I realized, I need to shift. I need to change the way I think about the situation. And I start looking for possibilities. Am I able to get a job? Yes. Can I raise my children up to be responsible, caring, resilient adults? Yes. Can I get fit again? Yes. And so being able to turn problems into possibilities, one of the tools I write about in my book and what I share with leaders around the world as well. And so to me, that's part of being resilient.
Thank you. When you are in the middle of a problem and you're sort of drowning in it, what helps you to make that shift, to remember to think, what are the possibilities here?
One of the key points about resilience is also knowing enough about your own strengths. And so knowing that I have faith, I have courage, I have gifts and talents. And so the circumstances might be really dark. And even like right now with the COVID-19, there are so many circumstances that is beyond our control. But remembering that we all have strengths and values, courage, love, faith, family, hope, gratitude. These are the values and strengths that we bring from difficulties to difficulties, and it's those strengths that will help us find the new beginning, to be able to find an opportunity, a way to grow even in that very difficult time.
And you mentioned the global pandemic.
Yeah.
How has that impacted you and your family, and how have you applied your resilience practices in the last month or two?
Well, for one, I caught all my family members back. So my husband was in London, my son was in Canada. In fact, one was actually in Milan, and so all the kids came back, and that was quite a stressful period. And now I am using this time also to be speaking to different leaders that I coach and supporting them to support their teams as the businesses go through a big disruption. I am using it to deal with my emotions. I just lost a dear business partner in the UK. And so to me, being aware of what I'm feeling, even the grief, and being able to talk about it and spend some time experiencing what I'm experiencing, and then looking again for what I can still be thankful for, even in this time of difficulty and grief.
Sounds like gratitude is a really central part of your thinking.
It is, yes.
And I also heard you mention courage, and I've noticed in being around you that even with very high level executives, you are gifted at talking about emotions and helping people voice their emotions. What are some things that you've seen work sort of in the organization, in the business setting, for leaders to try when they want to kind of take a step into being honest about how they're feeling?
So I get them to be aware first. So if someone's privately with me, if they're not used to it, so asking them, what are you feeling? What are your thoughts? And also role modeling. I would also check in with my feelings, and me being the role model of being authentic and vulnerable with them, so they would think, oh, a leader can't show these emotions. Once they're able to talk about it, then they're able to be empathetic and at least listen out with a lot of courage and compassion to the people around them, to talk about their anxieties and their concerns. So what I noticed in the last few weeks is that the leaders who had in the last 1 year built such a connection and trust with their team members that they are able to adjust to this disruption so much more calmly and quickly, because they have built those relational equity, and they can now talk about how they feel, what they need, and be able to give each other the support, emotional and social support to go through this very difficult time.
Wow, so just investing in little ways could build up to enhance trust, which is so important at a time like this.
Yes. And it's for the leaders who have not done maybe as much work last year or the years before. This is where we said, how can you quickly build the trust now? So the leaders modeling that they do also have concerns. How are they dealing with the disruption? And checking in with their team members, sometimes one-on-one. So what I'm noticing is in this time where people are actually remotely and isolated from each other, they're actually learning that being intimate, being emotionally connected is even more important than when they were hanging out in the office. So there's a lot more effort in leaders to connect, to check in, to show their compassion. So leaders who already have compassion and resilience are finding that this is the perfect storm to show it.
Wow. And it's hard to be vulnerable when that's not necessarily how you've been brought up or told what a good leader is. So it's almost a new definition of leadership. I was wondering, in closing, if you could share the check-in. You talked about checking in that you use a lot in meetings. That's, I believe, been shown to help increase emotional intelligence.
Well, I ask, what are you feeling? And if they need help, we could give them some tools and frameworks to choose those emotional and words. We also ask what might be on their mind that prevents them from being fully present, or what might be distracting. And of course, another question we ask would be, what's useful right now? How can I support you? So helping them to look inwards and be able to express what's inside of themselves. And then I do that too. So then we connect at a deeper level right at the beginning of a coaching session or a workshop. And those leaders actually bring that practice into their own team meetings. And it's beautiful to see.
Thank you, Wendy. Thanks for taking this time today. And thanks for all the work that you're doing to help leaders be stronger and more resilient, especially in this difficult time we're all going through right now.
Yeah, we'll get through it together.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you.
Yes, really, that was very interesting discussion. And thank you, Wendy, really, for sharing your personal feelings, your experiences, your insights on resilience with us. And I also have a request to all of you who is listening to our recording. We would be grateful and very happy if you send us questions that you would be interested to ask successful leaders that we will be inviting for our conversations. And these are going to be both our internal Avvartes partners and external partners as well. So many interesting people that you will be able to meet on this platform. Looking forward to hear from you, to hear your feedback and your questions. And you can see our address to which you can forward the questions, info@avvartes.com. See you next time. And thank you very, very much.
Thank you.